Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dream Chasers Ground Zero. Today we have with us Adrian Chuquillangui. Adrian is the CEO and founder of St. Joseph's Capital, a commercial multifamily real estate syndication company with the purpose of inviting and educating faith-driven leaders into a world of new streams of tax-advantaged passive income and impact. Adrian, I just want to open it up here for you real quick, just to give you the opportunity to give a little bit of background on yourself. And then to follow that up, we just love it if you tell us the story of your personal ground zero moment.
Yeah, of course, Aaron. It's an honor to be here on the show. Super excited to share the time with you and your listeners, and just to have an awesome time just chatting here. But yeah, so Adrian Chuquillangui, thanks for the intro. Real estate investor, apartment syndicator. But before that, I'm just a simple guy that grew up in Northern Virginia, born to a family of wonderful, amazing. Faith-based parents, and I have 5 siblings. I'm actually the 4th of 6, so it was a fun time growing up and having a loud household. My dad gave us the gift of our faith, which really translated into the rest of our lives, and even in sports. And we were a big sports family growing up, and I loved playing basketball and soccer, and basketball is kind of what drew me to the Coast Guard Academy. Which was where I did my undergraduate studies, and after that became a Coast Guard officer. Serving in a variety of mission sets, including search and rescue, drug interdiction, illegal and unregulated and underreported fishing, and a bunch of other missions that I've been fortunate to be a part of. And on top of that, I'm a husband, a father of 2 boys under 2. And CEO as well. So it's been a fun time, and my wife and I are super blessed just to have fun living and enjoying the adventure of life. So
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love it. And just then opening that up to segue into what we like to call your personal ground zero moment, if you'd be willing to share that story with us.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think in life definitely have had a few ground zero moments, but I'll speak to one, specifically that's kind of led to the journey with, our business and where we're at in life as a family. And I think it stems back to my time at the Coast Guard Academy, where, I mentioned that my family was, very faith-centered, and, we grew up going to mass and on Sundays, and, going to Catholic school. And so I had a really strong family home that was, centered on the gospel. And once I left that environment, that faith-centered and family-centered environment, and went off to school at the Coast Guard Academy, I was really faced with this option, right, to either continue, my family's traditions of, believing in God and having a relationship with Him, or to, go do something else. And so fortunately, I was blessed to have a missionary who was assigned to the Coast Guard Academy from the organization Focus, which is the fellowship of Catholic university students. And he invited me into friendship, which led to, him inviting me into Bible studies, and which is really where I just encountered Christ, in the scriptures, and just fell in love with my faith. And, it actually became a part of my life, and how I wanted to live, and my relationship with God and all that. And so I just kind of credit that time of, at the academy, where I was kind of at that, ground zero moment of, who am I, is what my parents, had me grow up with, the way that I want to live, and kind of faced with that question that has led to where I am today, and how we view life. It's definitely been a huge part, of our life. And I think that, those ground zero moments that you bring up are so important, because, it's from those lows that, we experience, maybe different hardships that we go through, kind of shape, who we are, and the way we look at things.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of zoning in on your story there a little bit, I really want to ask you what that was kind of like. I know you talked about having a strong relationship with your family at home. being in a nice loud household and things. And then I just want to kind of zone in on that change as you really stepped away from that to pursue your, your dream of joining the Coast Guard. Just sort of tell us a little bit about what making that step away from that was like, in like, if there was, I'm assuming there was a little bit of a culture shock as you left, that strong faith-based home, and then, pursued that new opportunity. So I just want to ask you to kind of speak to that for a little bit here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think a good amount of college students experience that when they leave home and go out into the world, and there's that new sense of freedom that you get, and it was nice, right? You don't have as many maybe the rules that you have under one roof, but that I guess that translating into the Coast Guard life, there were some rules that we had to follow, and regulations and military laws that we had to abide by. But it's just you go into life, and for me, like, I was experiencing new ways of thinking, and challenged by peers about religious beliefs, and some of those questions that I was asked and challenged on, I really didn't have good answers that I just hadn't made concrete during my childhood, and I really had to make those concrete, or to find another way of doing things. So I think that was really made possible by the missionaries that were on campus there at the Coast Guard Academy, and that was really what led us to in real estate investing. Because I was stepping into a role as husband and as father, and as leader of this household, and we desired to be generous, right, and to serve the kingdom of God at a higher level in terms of financial capacity. And I was approached by another friend who was also a missionary, who was looking for assistance with his financial journey, and asking for financial support. And it was at a point where I was diving deeper into that role of fatherhood, and sole provider of the family, and times were a little bit tighter. That the wallet was a little bit thinner. I was taking care of just some basic family needs, and actually declined supporting him financially. And I just like, man, like, why am I in this position where I can't dedicate resources to help this guy who's doing incredible work? And so that kind of just sat with us as we got into real estate investing, because we wanted to serve missionaries like him. And so that's why with our business, we're contributing 50% of our profits to help missionaries who are committed to sharing the hope and joy of the gospel with college students. And I think that with real estate investing, there's also so many ways to create impact in other ways too, not just with profits. But I think because there's such a need for good, safe, affordable, secure housing for people to grow up, and for people to raise their families in, that we can serve them by giving them that, and improving their living arrangements, and not only that, but we can serve our investors too by putting their hard-earned money to work, not only to help them take steps towards financial freedom, but also to have a role in advancing the mission of the gospel as well. And that's just been a really cool role to kind of step into, which I was not expecting at all. And I think it really stems back to that ground zero moment, from the Coast Guard Academy, and what you're talking about, and just that choice to either go one way or to go the other. And I think the man upstairs truly blesses, or he truly blesses those who choose him and to walk with him. And I think that there's definitely evidence in my life that I can speak to, where just trusting that he has a huge plan, and it's a big plan that you can't even imagine. That it's hard to dream as big as he can dream. And it's like, we need to level up our dreams, right, so that we can try to even come a fraction of what he's envisioning. So Yeah, I'm kind of going on a tangent now, but I'll pass it back to you, Aaron.
No, I love it. I really love the point that you made about how we need to level up our dreaming, I think is the word that you used. And I can't, I'm trying to think of how to word it. Like, I honestly can't tell you how much, like, I agree exactly with what you said. There's so many people, like, especially like kids my age and like people that I know personally that are just like afraid to think big. Where like, I feel like I've always kind of had this like dreamer mentality, like even just since I was young, of like these big possibilities. You know what I mean? I never knew how in the world I was going to get there, but I just wasn't really afraid to like picture those things. Where I just know so many people now that I mean, they just think extremely small, where they, you know, they don't realize truly what they're capable of. I'm sure I know a lot of us have heard the quote like, um, what's it called? We like severely overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we severely underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. It's kind of that scenario where, you know, we think that we're not really capable of doing anything now, so then we never start doing anything, and then we never accomplish anything over the course of 10 years, when in reality we could have accomplished that entire vision had we started with what we have now. But like I said, people are just afraid to think that big. And as you said, I think a lot of that does come back to those, you know, those ground zero, those rock bottom moments, and really like what we're able to learn from those. In my personal experience, I like to think of failure as the mother of all success, because just the fact that every time I have quote unquote failed or whatever, I feel like that is where I learned the most about whatever that thing was, whether that was in a relationship, whether that was in sports, whether that was in school, whatever. When those happen, like when those, I don't know, we'll call it poor situations, whatever you want to call it. Whenever that happened, I feel like that is truly when I got the most out of that situation. And it's really one of those backwards things, because most of the time in that situation, it like hurts. Like, obviously you don't want to fail, like you don't want to feel that way, but like you truly do get the most out of those situations. And like a big example of that is like we all know, like for the sports enthusiasts out there, we all know that like Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team before obviously growing to become arguably the greatest of all time. But like we refuse to acknowledge that that failure built him. Like that failure he carried with him every single day and demanded the most out of himself every single day for the rest of his career. But like we just refuse like to recognize that. And like we all know the whole saying, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but we don't acknowledge that that means we're going to miss some shots. So then when something goes wrong, we just stop and give up, or we refuse to try again. And that's just where like you don't create any momentum that way. Like look at another good example is like Oprah Winfrey, for anybody who's familiar with her story. Like they told her that she wasn't good for television. I mean, obviously look at her now, you know, one of the biggest television personalities out there. But like it or not, failure is the presence of opportunity. And really all we can do is learn and then, you know, rebuild after that failure and then come back even stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the example of the Michael Jordan story. It's like I'm a basketball player, and that one always resonates with me. It's like, you know, when we go into certain situations, not expecting to miss shots, we also go into those situations not expecting to make them, right? It's like we have to have that, you know, expectation that certain shots will be missed, and that's just a part of it, right? And it's like when it comes to failure, it's like when we're going into business or, you know, podcasting, for example, or whatever it might be, like there are going to be, you know, times that we should expect that failure is going to be there, and times that, you know, those situations that are going to call us to step out of our comfort zone and grow, because, you know, that's where we're going to truly become like, you know, on that path towards reaching that potential that we truly have. And yeah, I love all your thoughts there, Aaron. So good, man.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, like you mentioned like acknowledging like the presence of like the expectation of failure coming into certain situations. I'm pretty sure like another, like not to stick on this, but I'm pretty sure another Michael Jordan quote is something along the lines of failing to prepare is preparing to fail. It's kind of like that, because if you come in with the expectation that like you're just going to knock it out of the park, you're not going to have any issues, everything's going to go exactly the way you want to. I hate to say it, but you're wrong. Like nothing ever goes that way. I'm sorry, it just never goes that way. But yeah, I just we were right on the topic of Michael there, so it really just stuck. And I might be wrong about who that quote's from, but I think I'm right. I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like a big thing for, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I feel like a big thing for people my age is like we all look at like these wealthy people, and I mean, it's so hard because every time you get on social media, all you see is these gurus and stuff now that, it's just the next fad. But like we look at all these people, and like, yes, some of them, like, we don't really know where they come from or what they did or anything like that. But like the real, like, authentic, we'll call them like wealthy people that we see, like, we refuse to acknowledge that like that they didn't fight for what they have, that they didn't work for it. And that's where I think I've noticed a lot recently, just that like a lot of the, it seems like the theme for today is people like refusing to acknowledge things, but just that like I recently saw a clip of a speech by Ed Milet, and like he spoke about how every wealthy family like started somewhere, and basically that means that one person showed up and decided to change the family tree forever. And like, I know you were talking about like leading people to financial independence, so this goes kind of right along with that. Like in my family, I've pretty much decided that's going to be me. Like, and like there's a lot of people out there that are like afraid to step into that narrative. And like personally, like I can't vouch for everyone, but like I want to fight for that opportunity for my family. Like I want my mom and dad to be proud of me. I want my kids to be proud of me. I want to look in the mirror and I want me to be proud of me. And like these are all things that he talked about in that speech as well. But it was just one of those that like really hit home as you're hearing it, somebody speak on it. And like, but it all started with that conscious decision that that person, that you, that me, whoever, like, is going to be the one to put in that work to achieve the vision of whatever you want your family's future to look like. And, and they just really had to, bite the bullet, if you will, put their heads down, dig deep, and just show up and put in the work. And, I think that we all just overlook that part because like we see these other people out there that are wealthy and we just think they're like built different than we are. Well, I mean, some of them maybe, because yeah, we all come from different scenarios, but some of them, they're not any different from you. Some of them grew up in the same exact situation as you. Some of them grew up in even worse situations than you. And we just like don't pay any attention to that fact. We just see that they're there now and we think that we can never get there. So we never try to achieve anything of the sort. And, like in my personal opinion, if they can come from the situations that they did and achieve the levels of success that they have, then there's no reason you can't come from the situation that you're currently in and achieve that level of success for yourself too. Yeah, like to me, it's just kind of a matter of how badly you want it. But with that, I will go ahead and pass it back over to you, just kind of see if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I think you brought up so many good points, in regards to wealth, success, looking at how we view others who may be in a position that we strive to be in. And I think, circling back to wealth, it's like, I think wealth is a mindset that, a lens, if you will, on how we view the world around us. And it's like, I'm for me, like, I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not, a professional sports player. But when I wake up in the morning, like I have my relationship with God. I have my relationship with my wife. I have my two kids, and my family is healthy, and we're in relationship, and it's like, to me, like I'm wealthy, right? It's like I have, I have that, even though maybe my financial situation isn't, where I want it to be. But I think I do, there can be like that temptation to struggle with, like looking on the outside and like almost being envious of others' success or what their status is. But like you said, it's like, well, they put in the work, right? They planted those seeds, years ago. And what you're seeing, what we're seeing is like just them reaping the fruit, right? They're just reaping the harvest. And it's like, it's almost a really beautiful thing to recognize, because like we're just in a different season, right? We're heading in that direction, right? We're just in that season of planting those seeds, of tilling the soil. And it's like, I don't know, if I think for me, like if we can find like the ability to like be present in that, and to truly like have that gratitude of being in this season, planting those seeds, it's like once we're in that season later on down the road where we're, reaping the fruit, reaping the harvest, it's like it's going to be a different feeling, I think.
Yeah, no, I really love the point that you made about how like wealth is kind of like a mindset. And I think that's a big thing that that I've struggled with, that other people have struggled with as well. Just that like you define what wealth looks like to you. Like whether that's just, you and a husband or wife and two kids at a house wherever, or whether that's, lots more material things. Like you define what that looks like. And I think that's really important just for some people to try to wrap their head around because I mean, I'll be completely honest, like for me, like I want to have the freedom that when I do start my family, I want to have the time and availability to spend as much time as I want or don't with my children. And like that's my personal version of wealth, but like if you want to go out and one day you want to own a Lamborghini or one day you want to own, then that's your definition. I mean, and it's whatever you draw it up to be. And like kind of touching back on the point I made earlier, I think that just a lot of us don't, like we think that wealth is one thing, so we don't kind of let our imagination run on what that means to us. And like for me, like I had to go through my personal ground zero moment to really be able to kind of pick and choose what was important to me, and then build my things upon that. Like I talked in a recent episode about kind of like working backwards with like your dream, where like I tell people all the time, like you just literally intentionally stay up late one night till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and just sit there in bed and let your mind run crazy. Like literally just sit there and think about, if everything in the world turned out better than you could ever imagine, what would you have? Whether that be family, cars, whatever, like anything. Like just literally sit there and let your imagination run wild. And then once you have that vision, break things down, take out things that really aren't that important to you, to then focus on the things that are truly important to you, having what you would consider a good life, and then focus on that. Like now you have that vision of what your personal version of wealth looks like, and then you can break that down into, okay, now what do I need to do to get there? Break that into small steps, maybe even little different tasks that you can do either every day, every month, whatever. But now that you have that vision, you're able to break that down and say, okay, how do I get there mathematically? Like truly break that down into data and say like, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what it's going to take for me to achieve that personal definition of wealth.
Yeah, right on, man. So much good points here. It's like I feel like we're just bouncing back and forth between all these solid like wealth nuggets and success nuggets that, man, I think we could probably start our own podcast here, just go down that rabbit hole.
I do my best to just really take in everything that I learn from every guest and from every book, from every piece of content that I find, and just reshare it with anybody who's listening to me. And I just try to put that in a way that the me 2 years ago could understand. And try to just kind of help him fast track that a little bit. Like obviously not necessarily shortcut it, but just help him wrap his mind around it a little bit quicker. Sorry, not just like stick to the sports quotes here, but like you were talking about that your definition of wealth and stuff and how it like takes time. Like one of the ones that popped into my head was one that I saw. I mean, it's been a long time now, but it was from Lionel Messi, obviously a soccer player. But I think the quote was something along the lines of like, it took me 27 and a half years and X amount of days to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
And like that, like it still kind of hits me, like because like people don't realize that, like, yeah, he just showed up one day and now he's like super famous and makes all this money, whatever. But you don't realize how long they worked for that. And like in a way, that's how wealth works. Like you have to be putting in the work behind the scenes now, and as long as it takes to achieve that personal vision that we just talked about, you have to be putting in that work every single day, month, whatever, to achieve that vision for you, and then you can reap what you sow. But like we just think that everybody was handed what they have, and that's just like in some cases maybe, like some of these influencers and stuff, don't even get me started. But but in the cases of somebody that has truly built that for themselves, like that's what it took.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs we focus on on the financial side of wealth and financial freedom, but I think sometimes that gets misbranded, and we forget to talk about time freedom, and what time freedom can allow you know yourself to do. Because I think that one of the biggest poverties, and I think I heard this quote from someone, it wasn't me, but I think one of the biggest poverties that we see, right, is just this gap in time, where people don't make time or have the time to dream, we were talking about earlier. And it's like you said, like if you stare at a wall, or if you stay up late at night and just take time to like meditate or reflect, or to think about like what you want your life to mean, right, or what kind of legacy you want to live. And I think as a Christian, I think the way that we see that, right, it's like, okay, well, am I going to live my life in a way that's pleasing to the man upstairs, in a way that's going to serve him and love and serve those around me, and what does the Lord have envisioned for me. And I think that's helped me out, looking at things like that, because like I was talking about earlier, I guess this is on my heart during this show, but talking about envy, I think it's really easy, to look out and see others and just have some sort of envy and level of envy. But it's like, well, they have a different life, they have a different dream, they come from a different a different background, different town, and it's like when we are envious, we fail to recognize like our own gifts, our own unique abilities that actually they don't even have, and it's like we fail to recognize like our own wealth that we already have. But I think it does, take that time to reflect and to dream, and yeah, I just love what you said earlier about how important dreaming is. So just wanted to touch base there.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And I think that like one of the hardest parts for me when I was going through like my personal ground zero moment was it just like it really took me time to like reframe my way of thinking, like you said, as far as a wealth mindset and things goes, like what I truly wanted. But like what it took me the longest time to realize was that like, everybody says like the whole like especially like if you're at ground zero, odds are you're not like okay at the time. And like, you know, that was always one of the things that like I struggled with, where like, when I'm down, whether I'm upset, angry, whatever it is, through that situation, is like what everybody says, everybody says it's okay, it's going to be okay, whatever. Like, and that's just like I don't always expect like whoever you're with at the time, significant other, parents, whoever, to like just know what to say, like because that puts a lot of pressure on them. But at the same time, like in my mind, I'm always going like, no, it's not okay. Like whatever is going on in this situation right now is not okay. This is my personal version of rock bottom. Whatever. I'm not happy with where I'm at. It's not okay. But like at the same time, like that's the phraseology that other people use to try to kind of like uplift you in that time. And like I understand that. But like what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that like in that moment, like it makes me more angry or like upset because I know that the situation I'm in isn't where I should be, or it's not where I want to be. So that like, it makes it a little more frustrating, and it doesn't help me feel better. But like eventually, like me, like I can say this personally, like I subliminally became convinced that that feeling was what like okay meant. And what I mean by that is just that like after so many people tell you it's okay, and like you start to feel that way more, or like depending on what's going on, like you feel that way more frequently, like you start to develop this like subconscious thought that like this is okay. But
Yeah.
like you don't have to accept that. And what I'm trying to say there is like yes, I know that like those feelings are normal, but like it's not normal to feel like that constantly or all the time. And that's where I'm trying to say, like, I'm not always like a tough love kind of guy, but like there's times and situations where like we need to tell our friends, we need to tell our family, ourselves even that this is not okay. and that we could be doing way better than we are right now. And like, it just takes that acknowledgement that like, like I'm here, and like, yes, I am upset and whatever, but like, that's okay, because like I should be upset or I should be angry because I shouldn't be here. This isn't where I want to be. And then you can reframe that to say, okay, now what can I do to get to where I want to be? But you just have to acknowledge that like, yes, it is okay where you are, but you have to acknowledge that like it's not where you want to be, in that like you have to define like what better is for you. Like we've talked about today, like a lot of mindset stuff. But like, okay, so my girlfriend just broke up with me. What does better look like? Obviously I'm upset about this. What does better look like? Does it look like somebody else, or does it look like something internally that I have to fix? You know what I mean? Just break things down that way. And like, yeah, obviously that's just a service level example, but like in pursuing that personal version of better, like you'll find more meaning, because you'll realize what means more to you, and you can then use that to help get rid of the suffering. And I think that that's just something like really important as well, that I wanted to touch on, because like I think I just think so many of us like are like so many. I'm just trying to think. Like I have so many examples running through my head right now, just of like so many people like at my school personally that I know that'll say, oh, I'm just a procrastinator. Oh, I'm just this. Oh, I'm not a runner. Oh, I'm not an athlete. Oh, I'm not, these things or whatever. But like you've allowed that to become what you are defined as, like where it takes like a conscious decision to decide, like we talked about, like just if you want to build wealth, whatever. But like it takes that decision to decide, I'm going to be this. And then you have to like work towards that goal. Like, but we just kind of sit back and let whatever happens happen. And then we say, well, oh, that's why I'm this. Like we're more like just letting things happen on their own rather than taking any sort of control. But sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. Just I'm just trying to say that like it starts with you, and acknowledging that you're not okay, and making an intentional decision to pursue that definition of better.
Yeah, no, I think that's so key, man. Making that decision, and then being present, but also not complacent. With where you're at, and continuing to move forward in the direction that you're targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the strongest quotes I've heard from a guest on this show, that fits really well with this exact scenario was, quiet your mind and sit in it. And like what that like essentially meant to me was like, I mean, and when he explained this to me, it was just take everything going on in this situation right now for exactly what it is, and just embrace it. Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it sucks, whatever, but just take it as it is. Acknowledge that you feel this way, acknowledge what's going on, and then work to get out of it. Because if you never like put the correct amount of attention to that, you're never going to get rid of that emotional baggage or whatever exactly it is. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that real quick, because I felt that that went really well with what we were talking about. But I know we got to let you off of here soon. So in wrapping up, the question that I always like to ask the guests is, if you could go back in time and have just a conversation with yourself in your personal ground zero moment, what do you think you would say to yourself in that conversation?
And that is such a good question. I think that I would probably just tell myself to keep dreaming, and remember who you are as a person, Adrian, and to just do the things that are going to be in line with not only what God wants for your life, but also what you think that would be best for your future family, and their future families, and yeah, I guess that would be something I would say to myself looking back now. But no, it's super important question. I'll have to take some more time to think about it and reflect on after this show. But I really appreciate that question.
No problem. I really love the point that you made about just kind of remembering who you are. And I'm definitely going to have to start making a little bit more content around that here soon, just because I know so many people that are struggling with that right now. I mean, and just simply because they're too afraid to like leave where they are to pursue where they want to be. And whether that's like the people that they're hanging around, their parents, anything, like they take other people's beliefs and other people's thoughts and accept that as their identity, kind of like what we were just talking about. But like they let other people in society, if you will, decide who they're going to be. And that like is just such a big thing lately, especially like with people that I know and see every day. That like I said, that's definitely something I'm gonna have to start like putting a little bit more attention to here soon, just because I see it everywhere. So but yeah, like I just really love the point that you made there, in kind of securing your own identity. And that's where I was going with it. Just saying, you know, to anybody out there listening right now, don't be afraid to step away from where you are to pursue where you want to be and kind of carve out that identity for yourself rather than what, you know, the one that somebody else created for you. And as I said, I'll go deeper into that some other time. But with that, Adrian, thank you so much again, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm very thankful that you were willing to come on and share your Ground Zero moment with us and, you know, all of your other experience along the way. Always remember, everyone, this is Dream Chasers Ground Zero, and there's nowhere to go from here but up. Thanks, guys.